Do aliens visit the planets of other aliens? When Meatloaf said, "I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that," what was he talking about? Was it butt stuff? All these questions you can find the answer to on This Paranormal Life! Hello everyone and welcome back to This Paranormal Life, the comedy paranormal podcast where every week we dissect a new paranormal tale as professional paranormal investigators and come to a conclusion once and for all to decide whether or not it truly is paranormal. We are back in the studio after a little bit of road tripping across the United States.
Don't say butt stuff in the first 10 seconds of the podcast. Just don't do that, all right?
Why?
In like 7 years, I haven't given you notes.
Okay.
Here's a note.
Don't say butt stuff in the first two lines of the podcast?
Come on. I don't
What,
wanna...
do you want me to wait till like the halfway point?
Hey, I'm trying to enjoy a nice beverage, get me in the mood for today's podcast. I'm excited to hear about some paranormal evidence.
Get in the mood for some butt
I don't need to be
stuff.
thinking about butts. I'm getting distracted, you know what I mean?
Listen, when you investigate as many alien abductions as we do, you're going to hear a lot about butt stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to come up.
We got a box of latex gloves in the corner of the studio here, and that's for a good reason. Okay?
I appreciate that's maybe starting off on quite a dramatic point today. But listen, we're back from vacation. And it actually wasn't really a vacation at all.
Stop calling it vacation. Yes, stop calling it that. Because we were working.
Of course. Forgot we were working.
Hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It wasn't all just margaritas and butt stuff, all right? We were doing some serious work out there. I had my laptop. Out there. So I did like...
But you can do a lot on a phone these days.
Yeah, you can do your emails and stuff like that.
I didn't have a lot of battery left after kind of taking lots of photos and phone calls all day.
Right, yeah.
But I sent at least an email.
Yeah, to cancel all the meetings that we were supposed to have that week.
Service, yeah, mostly calling for room service.
Yeah, we are like kind of joking, kind of not joking. It was a bit of like a working holiday.
Yeah.
I think I got to do some work and then I got to have a nice holiday and see my family who live out in California. Kit got to do a little work and then you spent about 7 days just cheating death, it sounded like.
Yeah. We don't have time to get into all of it. If you do want to hear about all the ways, I think I mentioned in it, my brother said, my life became a season of The Walking Dead, kind of for a week.
Just surviving every day, figuring out how to make it work.
So if you want to hear that, maybe listen to This Paranormal Life after party over on patreon.com/This Paranormal Life, where we recorded while we were there together.
On the road, yeah.
And then we also caught up kind of after the fact once we had parted ways and I was still in America. So it was really fun actually to do it in a different place for once.
And no spoilers, but just to list off one of the things that happened, Kit's Airbnb almost exploded.
Yeah.
And had to be evacuated and held up in an emergency hotel.
And I think during that story, I was like, I'm not going to say anything about Airbnb until I figure out the kind of compensation for what happened to me. Don't worry, I still have all my limbs.
Okay.
I don't have my eyebrows anymore, but that's all right. Didn't need them anyway. But you are right, Rory. What matters is we are back here on home turf, home advantage, honestly, seeing as we're going 1-1 against the paranormal this week. And it is good to be back, even if it is cold and it is wet.
Okay, yeah.
It is good to be back.
Well, don't bring the mood down. Yeah, it is cold and it's wet and it's gray. The sun sets at 3:15 and everyone here is sad and angry. But not us, okay?
No.
'Cause you know what we are?
Never.
We're excited and we're optimistic and we're determined to get to the bottom of a brand new paranormal case. And let me tell you today, Kit, we are kicking things off with an absolute stone cold stunner.
Oh, shit.
That's right. I know we like to have fun sometimes on this podcast and talk about the Metal Man. We like to talk about the Mantis Man and the Yeti.
Or the Yeren, the little boy ape who pissed on his mother or something like that.
That's right. Definitely just a human, that one. But today we are investigating the case of a poltergeist, a story that takes place in the small law office of Sigmund Adam, a lawyer from southern Bavaria in the late 1960s.
Wow, you know this is going to be good because normally Rory hits me with a stick when I bring a poltergeist case to This Paranormal Life. So the fact that he himself is bringing a poltergeist today means this must be spicy.
It is spicy. What we're going to deal with today may have started as a few minor inconveniences, but it turned into a full-blown paranormal mystery that drove an entire community to the brink of mystified insanity. A phrase I may have just invented for this episode.
Mystified Insanity, I think, is a Yu-Gi-Oh move. I think the Dark Magician uses that one.
Right. I think that's what my math teacher used to describe me in class when they tried to teach me the multiplication tables.
Mystified Insanity, I think, is a never released Doritos flavor. I think a limited edition one, only in kind of Busan or something like that.
That does sound like the flavor of a Monster Energy drink. We are going to dive into it all right after a quick word from today's sponsors and a reminder you can get every episode of this podcast ad-free on patreon.com/This Paranormal Life. It's the fall of 1967, and 19-year-old secretary Anna Marie Chabrol was enjoying a calm afternoon at the office when the phone rang. Sigmund Adam Law, this is Anna Marie speaking. How may I help you? Hello? Is someone there? She put down the phone and went back to work. Maybe it was a prank call. Maybe there was an issue with the phone line. Whatever it was, it didn't matter. Anna Marie had other work to get on with, so she quickly brushed it off and went on with her day. But she didn't get far before the phone rang again. Sigmund Adam Law, this is Anna Marie speaking. How may I help you? Again, the line was silent. Then, another one of the company's 4 phone lines began ringing. Sigmund Adam Law, how may I help you? Please hold on 1 second. Hello, Anna Marie. Who is this? Hello? Hello? Every phone line in the office was lighting up. New calls were coming in as soon as old ones ended. And every time Anna Marie picked up, there was no one on the other end. Look, this might not sound crazy in today's world, where you can high-definition FaceTime your friend from an aeroplane, but this was 1967. Phones being used at this time were old-school rotary dial phones, and phone calls were slow and expensive. What was happening to Anna Marie in the office this day was incredibly strange, and it didn't stop there. These calls kept coming in for months, every day, with no one on the other end. I mean, this would just drive me insane, probably by day 3.
Good Lord, yeah. I don't know what she's getting paid in 1967, but I'm going to guess it ain't enough for whatever's going on. By the way, a rotary phone, on our travels actually, one of the places I stayed had a rotary phone in the bedroom. And me showing that to my 3-year-old daughter, I felt like Indiana Jones showing one of his students a 3,000-year-old amulet. And I was like, well, if the light of the full moon shines upon it. It was like, even I had to tap into some ancient memory to show her how to use a rotary phone.
I mean, we're not that old. I never used a rotary phone growing up.
No, I mean, you wouldn't have. But they were kicking about. It was the last gasps
of
landline phones.
I feel like I never saw one of those. I feel like in like a vintage shop, I would have seen one.
My parents are going to die with their landline phone. You would have to shoot them in the head.
Well, it must have been weird for you growing up because your dad had a banana phone.
Well, I don't want to talk about the banana phone. I don't want to. All right.
The people don't know this about kids' dad.
All right. Yeah, it's really funny. Ha ha ha.
But he worked for bananas.
He didn't work for bananas.
He did. That was his job. He worked for a banana company. I'm just saying what it is. And then for Christmas, because he did a good job, I guess, they gave him a banana phone.
My dad's a monkey to you? Is that what you're saying? That's great.
It's just weird sometimes.
Yeah, all right.
I visited once or twice and he was like hanging from the rafters, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, so when you say that, people don't know what's a joke and what's real life.
The banana phone is real.
They might think he's an actual monkey. And what do you think do you think that reflects well on me?
That makes me a chimp. All right.
Yeah, what does that make me? It makes me a little bonobo. All right? So cool it.
Eventually, Sigmund Adam, who owned the law office, decided he had no choice but to call the local telephone company to figure out what was going on.
Hello, this is Mr. Adam from Sigmund Adam Law. Look, something is wrong with our telephone lines. We need someone to come repair them immediately.
Ah, Mr. Adam, I'm so glad you reached out. We need to talk to you about your phone bill.
Phone bill?
Yeah, you know, for the 8,640 calls you made yesterday.
What the are you talking about?
The phone company said that Adam's office had been placing calls to a line called the Talking Clock, a service where you could call it up and it would tell you the exact time. I mean, fine, that's not particularly weird, but the phone line claimed the office had been calling this line 6 times per minute. Which in 1967 isn't just bizarre, it's physically impossible. It took time for those old rotary phones to dial the number, and even more time back then for the connection to be made and the other end to pick up.
Right, yes. And I understand that this happened about 70 years ago or whatever. Even I'm starting to panic about what this phone bill might be. This is before mobile top-ups. I'm assuming he owes in the region of 3 to 4 million euros at this point.
Yeah, I remember when I first got a mobile phone, and my dad called and left me a voicemail message. And I thought it was so cool I could just listen to the voicemail message. I listened to it like 20 times. And then I got home and told my dad, and he was like, "You get charged for that, you know? You called the voicemail number." I ended up paying like £37 just to listen to my dad say we're having chicken nuggets for dinner. I was like, it was a waste of money.
I know people today won't understand the panic of early internet-enabled phones. I think it was called WAP.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not talking about wet-ass okay? We're talking about worldwide access protocol or something like that.
In our defense, they're both expensive. And I used my WAP to pretty much exclusively look at porn. So I guess they're not that different after all.
But yeah, people today will not understand the panic of when you accidentally hit the WAP button and you would simply, you could feel the wallet in your pocket lightening and lightening. Yeah. It was like it aged, kind of like Homie from the Holy Grail who drank from the wrong cup. It was
withered
away. Your money just dissipated.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was a rough time. At this point, Adams and the phone company both knew something fishy was going on, but neither of them had any idea that it was about to get a lot worse. While working in the office, Adams and his staff experienced lights flickering, fixtures swinging from the ceiling, and on multiple occasions, even experienced light bulbs unscrewing themselves and exploding.
Yeah, I don't like that one. That's not good.
Of course, the electric company were called out to investigate, but this feels like it's a little above their pay grade.
Yeah, this is a particular form of, let's just come out and say it, paranormal phenomena.
Let's just say it.
Which is extra frustrating because they seem intent on just costing Sigmund money.
Right, they're just racking up bills. Yeah.
Smashing things, using too much electricity probably.
I guess it's hard, you know, if there's a problem with the telephones, you're going to call the telephone guys. If there's a problem with the lights, you're going to call an electrician. But this is getting to the point where Sigmund is like calling a plumber to come out. And they're like, okay, so what's the problem? And Sigmund's like, so he's 9'6", he only appears at midnight, and he's made entirely of water. They're like, this isn't us, dude. I know it's water, but it's not water.
Yeah.
Like, you need a guy with a gun to help you kill it. After scouring the office, electricians could find no reason why any of it was happening, but decided to install voltage meters to see if there are any power surges in the office. And the readings only added to the mystery. The meters recorded power surges so strong, it should have blown every fuse in the office. But despite these surges, the fuses were never blown. At this point, the bizarre paranormal activity was impossible to hide. Word started to spread around town that Sigmund Adam's law office was haunted. Journalists and news reporters began to flood the site, and amazingly, we have video footage.
What?
Yeah, that's right. All the way back from 1967.
This shit actually happened?
Yes!
Oh.
I'm telling you, this is a real documented account of paranormal activity happening in Bavaria. Some people say this is one of the best documented and believable cases of paranormal activity.
I thought this was just Rory's story time.
Hell no.
Time.
I think this one is going to be on the edge today, whether or not we give it a double yes. It's going to be close.
I think this one is arguably going to be up for debate at the end of the episode. Sure, there might not be a love, and we'll see.
It'll be a short debate, sure, but a debate nonetheless. All right, kid, what I'm about to show you is video footage of journalists and reporters going to the office, talking about and documenting the paranormal activity. It is, of course, all in German and shot on some very old-timey cameras. But check this out. This is really cool that we actually have this footage.
Wow.
Hier installiert ein Bautrupp des Prüfamtes der Stadt.
So what we're seeing right now is people, I believe, who work for the electricity board coming in, running wires through the building, trying to figure out what's going on with the electricity. They're specifically talking about the lights that have been exploding in the office and the phone calls. I mean, they're taking this seriously. People were making little documentaries about this. The person talking right now is Adams himself, talking about all the disturbances that he's experienced in the office. Now, this part is really interesting because he actually walks across the office and he's showing holes in the wall where the lights have exploded with such force they've actually left dents. Pretty
it looks
crazy
like Sigmund
stuff.
has ops. He's pointing out the bullet holes in the walls. He's like, bro, the streets ain't safe. Streets ain't safe for me.
I was going to wait a little bit further into this episode to show you this next clip. But you know what? I want you to take this seriously and see just how insane this gets. So, it eventually started moving a little bit beyond just lights and little mysterious things happening.
Sigmund is Magneto now. He's floating. He is commanding light bulbs around the room.
This is a video of one of the light fixtures at one point during the day. They started filming this, just completely moving by itself, swinging back and forth.
That's cool, man.
Isn't that crazy? This is actual footage, I guess, shot in 1969.
Did you write the words actual footage at the bottom of the screen?
I didn't. It was really hard to find this. That's ripped from a YouTube video.
That's cool. If that's real, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is a cool clip. It's basically kind of like a chandelier with light bulbs, of course, instead of candles, rocking back and forward. I watched it a few times, and I think the cool thing is, if it was swung, it definitely looks like it should have started chilling out, but it just doesn't. Yeah. It just keeps swinging back and forth the same distance, kind of repeatedly, in quite a creepy way.
Yeah. That's reasonably convincing stuff, yeah.
According to one outlet, a reporter decided to visit the office to try and witness the paranormal occurrences for himself. When he was getting ready to leave, a bulb unscrewed itself from the socket and fell from the ceiling, almost hitting the man in the back of the head.
Right.
At this point, Adams had
Tape them up or make sure they can't come off.
They explode!
Sure.
That's not gonna help.
Maybe let's just go ahead and just remove them all. Let's just remove them all in advance.
So you want to just sit in the dark, receiving 800 phone calls a day?
Work from home, I think. I think we can, maybe we'll close the office for a week.
I think that's a smart move.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like if your dog had nunchucks in its mouth, it was kind of swinging around, smashing shit, you wouldn't be like, let's investigate the cause of the dog to have the nunchucks. Let's try and get to the root cause of preventing the dog from ever getting nunchucks. Just take the nunchucks off him. Just take the nunchucks away. Let's create a safe environment here.
We should actually bring in a kung fu specialist to examine why the dog is performing this martial arts demonstration.
What's he trying to say?
By this point, Adams had had enough. If he didn't get to the bottom of what was going on, it could easily destroy his whole business. Because look, if someone's looking for a lawyer to represent them in court, they don't want the lawyer to basically live in a haunted mansion.
Yeah, or be a kind of Looney Tunes lawyer where he has soot all over his face and his hair is all spiked up from getting electrocuted. Like, you wouldn't trust him in a court of law. Yes,
because you need someone who's grounded in our world and our laws.
Yeah.
Like if I have a unpaid parking ticket and I'm like, hey, listen, I don't think this is my fault. The sign was covered up. I need you to kind of join me in court. And the guy's like, his chair's kind of like levitating. The light bulbs are floating in the sky. I'm like, look, I think you're dealing with the magic world. This isn't a court case against a wizard here. This is just the governor of California. Okay? So I need someone who doesn't have a lot on their plate, honestly.
He's one of his clients come into the office, a man that he recently bargained to get off death row. The guy's like, well, I can't thank you enough, Sigmund. I mean, they were really going to electrocute me in that chair. Can you believe it? He sits down in Sigmund's office. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
He didn't pay us yet.
So Adams finally gave in and hired the help he really needed. Hans Bender, which sounds like the nickname you'd give to someone who cracks their knuckles a lot.
Yeah.
Hans Bender. Hans was a German parapsychologist from the Institute of Parapsychological Research located in Freiburg, Germany.
Cool, okay.
Extra cool because that's where my German family live.
You having German family is such a fake spin-off Simpsons episode plot.
It really sounds like a bit. It's not a bit. They live in Butzingen.
Yeah.
Uncle Walter.
Because we've kind of spent years learning that Rory is American and Irish.
Yeah.
Irish-American.
Well,
No,
I
but-
was
but-
brought
but-
over in Operation Paperclip shortly after the Second World War.
You're like, yeah, right so far.
This checks out, yeah. Yeah. What's your problem? What?
I will say Freiburg, one of the only places I have been in Germany. I've been to a couple of places in Germany, but Freiburg was the first place I ever went in Germany.
Beautiful place.
The Black Forest,
Yes.
Hiking-
I've been skiing there.
hiking up the big mountain, drinking pints at the top of the mountain.
Hell yeah.
Mostly drinking pints. And
Fighting off giant bugs in the back of your uncle's van as you drive through to a vineyard at the top of a
we
mountain.
did hear about that. I also will live in my memory rent free. Got laughed at by the barmen because I accidentally asked for a white sausage instead of a white beer. Don't know how I did that. And to this day, don't know if they thought I was asking for their white sausage. You know what I mean? I think that was the worry.
people in Germany are mean. I remember when I was a kid and I was there with my cousins. It was like New Year's Eve. We were just outside playing, and a bunch of German teenagers kind of came over to us. They were a little bit older, and they kind of just said a bunch of stuff in German, laughed, like really laughed,
Okay.
and then walked away. And I was like, what did they say? And my cousin, Thomas, was like, he said, how about you being gay? And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, they really thought that was funny.
That is that German stand-up comedy, my friend.
He said that you enjoyed the white sausage. I'm like, okay, thanks, Thomas. You didn't have to tell me that. Yes, well, we have someone from all the way in Freiburg being brought in to investigate this case. Hans arrived at the office and the investigation began. Guten Morgen, everyone. Do not panic. Hans is here. Whatever's going on in this office, I will get to the bottom of it. And let me tell you, we've been in this business a long time, kid. When I hear that someone hired a paranormal investigator to help them, I think that's like Ronald McDonald hiring the Hamburglar to make Big Macs. It's a scam. They're not going to help, and they're going to try and get as many burgers out of you as they can.
Okay, I'm getting slightly lost in the metaphor, but I understand.
But I gotta say, when I was reading this case, I quickly realized that Hans was a pro.
Okay.
He investigated the site, interviewed employees, and almost immediately deduced that the paranormal phenomenons were starting and stopping at the exact same time every day.
Interesting.
Despite his best efforts, by the winter of 1968, 1 year later, things had gotten dramatically worse. Objects in the office would move at will. Drawers would be thrown open and heavy pieces of furniture would randomly shift around the offices by themselves. At one point, staff watched in awe as a 400-pound filing cabinet moved through the office by itself.
The man, it's a man. He's inside a filing cabinet and he's walking around. He's gotten so brazen and confident, he's now just walking in plain sight.
I just love how undeniable it's become.
Yeah.
Like before it was like kind of phone calls and it's a light switch. And now even the most skeptical employees are like, this is f***ed. Like it's not even nighttime, just daylight. This huge filing cabinet is just like going down the hallways.
They're like, Sigmund, he's like, ignore it.
Just forget it.
I don't want to hear about it.
Just forget.
It's
Sigmund, that's the pay slips. Sigmund, 19 phones going off at once. He's like grabbing onto his desk.
He's still trying to talk to a client. Yeah, I'm sure we can sort that out for you. Great. And as you say, the quality of his work has got to have dipped at this point. I mean, I'm imagining they're spending most of their legal billing hours now working on lawsuits from their own employees.
Yeah.
People who were smacked in the head by a telephone.
There's a lot to deal with. It's hard to go about regular business when all this shit is going down.
Yeah.
I like to think, Sigmund is the only one trying to keep it really cool. He's like, look, doesn't matter. We're going to go on like normal. Let's just have our morning meeting. All right? Everyone go to the conference room. And one employee's like, the meeting room table ran away this morning. He's like, okay, that's fine. We'll meet in the hallway by the water cooler. Just complete silence in the office. Is the water cooler still in the hall? The water cooler is gone. Sigmund is gone.
I'm now imagining that iconic meme format showing the final scene of that show about Hitler whenever he's in the bunker and people are
Yeah,
coming up and giving him the bad news and he's slowly losing it. The lights have gone out, but it's fine. We'll use some candles. Right, guys?
Yeah,
Guys?
yeah.
So the candlestick came alive. He calls himself Lumiere. And yeah.
It's the Beauty and the Beast castle.
He sings and he dances. He does.
Yeah, Sigmund, we need you to sign off on the pay raise for the clock. Yeah, the clock works for us now. His name's Cogsworth, and he has 3 coffees a day.
Yeah. Anna, you'll make us some tea, won't you? Oh, don't worry, Mrs. Potts is on it. She'll do it.
Yeah. He tries to take a drink from a mug of coffee. The mug's like, hello. It's all alive. Hans started thinking about the window of events. Why did all of this start at 9 and end at 5? Sometimes earlier, occasionally later. What was the cause? That's when Hans realized that these hours directly correlated to the work schedule of Anna Marie. Hans immediately knew that whatever was going on in this office, it had something to do with this girl. So he took her aside to ask a few questions. Anna Marie, can I ask you a few questions? Sure. Are you happy at home or in the office? And if not, have you ever tried to make things better by using spells or witchcraft?
All right, 0 to 100.
So,
Hans doesn't around.
Please take this seriously. I'm doing an important investigation. Do not interrupt Hans. Do not interrupt Hans Bender, or he'll bend these hands around your neck.
Oh, whoa.
Sorry,
All right.
sorry.
Whoa. We've got a HR department, Hans.
Hans struggles to keep normal jobs.
What were you doing before this? I was in a ska band. I was a trumpeter in a ska band. Moving on.
Have you ever thought about contacting the dead, perhaps, to rise from the grave and kill your enemies? Anna Marie? She denied any involvement in what was happening at the office. But did that mean that she wasn't still responsible? You see, kid, in parapsychology, there's a term called recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, or RSPK, where an individual unknowingly unleashes telekinetic abilities when they're particularly unhappy or stressed.
I am slightly relieved here because I was sure you were going to say there's this thing called being a witch where you've got ovaries, therefore you're magic, and we're going to drown you if you don't stop the magic.
Right, and it could be anyone. It could be a woman that you trusted and got married to, and then you didn't even know for like 12 years, and then one morning you wake up and you think, well, that's a witch for sure. That's crazy. No, this is based in, I'm not going to say science because that'd be a lie, but it's based in parapsychology.
That's right.
And Hans is a firm believer in this being a real thing. Some people might not know that they are telekinetic, that they have extrasensory, what's the ESP? Extrasensory powers?
Perception or something?
Something like that. And similar to like someone in a superhero movie, they don't know they have powers until they're pushed too far.
Yeah.
And they do the classic, that's enough! And it kind of bursts out of them.
For sure.
And the filing cabinet comes to life. That could be what we're seeing here. Someone who doesn't know they're paranormal is having kind of a traumatic, sad, or difficult time, and it's manifesting in these events.
Yeah, okay, this is possible.
After a little digging, he discovered that Anna Marie's aunt, who lived in Dusseldorf, was actually a clairvoyant. And when he asked about Anna Marie, she responded with,
I have always felt a deep and unsettling presence inside the girl.
This is where the case really starts to go off the rails. I guess people were getting desperate at this point. 3 weeks later, Sigmund Adam called in a local priest to perform an exorcism inside the office on Anna Marie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't think you can do that as a boss now. Just kind of like when your employees show up, there's a priest in the office and you're like, whoa, am I in trouble?
He's like, no, like sometimes we do like beer and pizza on a Friday, and sometimes we do like confess your sins day, and sometimes yeah.
Let's just do like this crazy game, right? Where we like throw a ball to each other, and when you catch the ball, you admit a sin. So I guess I'll go first. Yeah, sometimes I get a little gluttonous. Yeah, I eat a little too much. I like my Ben & Jerry's. What can I say? I guess, who's next? Fires at Anna Marie. There's like 30 people in the room. It's like a game of dodgeball. He just hits her over the head with
Father,
it.
pour the water on her now. Pour it. Make sure and douse her. Douse her now.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do it. According to one newspaper report, during this service, 4 light bulbs exploded overhead.
Whoa.
That was in a real newspaper. I had to double check that. I was like, who said this? But I saw the report where it actually talked about performing an exorcism in the office.
You know what I will respect? Commitment to your hires. Clearly, she was doing an amazing job because Sigmund would not let her go. I mean, seriously, Sigmund, let her go. Like, just get rid of her. Just be like, look, I'll pay you a year's salary to leave. Just don't come back. But no, clearly, she must have been holding this place together with duct tape or something because he's like, I will do anything to keep Anna Marie here working at the company.
Anna Marie quit. After this, Anna Marie quit.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I love that she just
I don't know why she didn't quit earlier.
She like walked in and there's just a priest with a bat. She's like, oh, hell no. Hell no. Sigmund, no, we're done. We're absolutely done. I could take it when the filing cabinet commuted home with me, but I'm not doing this. This is way too far.
He's like, it'll be fine. Put the football helmet on. You'll be fine.
Yes, in some retellings of the story, some people say Anna Marie quit. Other versions, it's interesting, you pointed that out, Kit. Other versions say she was fired. Others say that she was put on paid leave, and when all the paranormal activity stopped, she was let go.
Okay.
Because she left the office and then there was no more. So they were like, okay, well, don't come back.
Where do you think, if we were Anna Marie's career advisors at this point, where would we be? This is a tough gig, but where would we be pointing her in the direction of, okay, oh, sorry to hear it didn't work out the last place, but hey, over here at Paranormal Jobs Agency, we are here to find job solutions for all our kind of mutant freaks. I mean talented individuals. And we have a great opportunity for you, Anna Marie, right over at blank where would work.
Good question. Or maybe say like a Taco Bell or something. Like a place where stuff is already seemingly going so wrong all the time that like no one would even notice if shit was coming to life. Like halfway through her shift, someone looked down and there's like literally a burrito like, hey, your powers brought me to life.
Sentient burritos. That's definitely how they talk, by the way.
Hey.
like Towley from South Park.
Don't forget the guac. It's like, so this is life. I always wonder what. Grab him, throw him in the bag, hand him over. Someone eats him. Like no one would care. It's already chaos. You know?
Okay. Yep.
Something like that.
I was gonna say like, I don't know, mining or so, it's
right.
like,
just exploding rocks.
Put her 6 miles under the ground, kind of mining diamonds.
And
it's like, it's pretty dark down there. If you can light shit up, that'd be great, honestly.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, okay, because one of the repercussions of her powers, lights exploding and mysterious phone calls.
Yeah, it seems to be all electronic for some reason.
Yeah. I think, if you want to use her as like a weapon, just ship her off to a kind of a neighboring warring country and let her walk around. Yeah. And everywhere she goes will just be haywire. Lights exploding, calls coming in.
Yeah, she's like an EMP bomb. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
I like that.
So if Taco Bell doesn't work out, maybe that's...
Yeah, one might be higher paying than the other. We'll see.
Hey!
Things you don't want to hear when you just got an order for 12 beef burritos.
Hey! I think if someone DoorDashed a Taco Bell to my house and I picked the bag, put it on the table, and heard that from inside, I'd just be like,
straight in the
take
bin.
it back. Take it back. No.
Yeah.
I'm back on the app.
You're on the app.
You gotta pick them up.
Something wrong with my order button.
What's wrong?
They're like, please take a photo of the issue. I'm not opening the bag. I'm not.
He can take a picture of himself. That's what's wrong with my order. Look, all we know is the day that Anna Marie left the office, everything went back to normal. That was the end of the paranormal activity. I know we don't like to do this at the end of the stories, but we're unbiased here. We like to treat these cases with the same judgment that anyone should. So let's take a little moment to talk about the controversy. There are lots of parts of the story that skeptics believe prove that the Rosenheim Poltergeist is not a legit paranormal case. We actually didn't even talk about how kind of interesting that is. This is referred to and known as the Rosenheim Poltergeist. But I think this is the first time ever we've investigated a case like this, where it's a ton of poltergeist activity, lights flickering, mysterious calls. But in the end, it had nothing to do with a poltergeist. It had nothing to do with ghosts or, the souls of the dead. It was telekinesis, allegedly, from an individual.
Yeah, although that's like Hans's theory. I don't like Hans very much.
You're like Hans Bender?
No,
Trumpeter Hans Bender?
He came on a bit strong, I think. But I think that was an interesting 60s theory, which makes sense. It was a time of New Age spirituality. I think they were thinking of things slightly differently than the past.
Right.
But I get why it was called a poltergeist. I mean, in all but Anna Marie, it was poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
She's kind of just the
conduit.
Maybe, but she's also, she's the thorn in the side of this being a poltergeist case. It's like, okay, why her? Is she the conduit? What is the connection here? Because otherwise, yes, it is ghostly behavior.
Right. It's kind of like, when I go back to Northern Ireland, I love to see my old friends. Great gang of guys, the old Haggard crew.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about it before. There's one individual called Wrestler John. Now, when John is around, wrestling happens.
Yeah,
okay?
not me, but you. So let's rephrase that. When you're around John, when John's around you.
Yeah, well, see, this is it.
Wrestling happens.
Where is the wrestling coming from?
I see John pretty regularly and nothing happens.
You guys must wrestle all the time.
No, mostly just kind of get coffee, talk about life.
Okay, but I don't wrestle anyone.
Yeah,
except John.
Yep.
I think John wrestles other people.
Nope.
He wrestles me.
I think it's you, yeah.
John, me...
I'm not saying you're the problem. I'm just saying he's not specifically the problem either.
John, to me, is essentially the hunter from Jumanji. When I go back to Northern Ireland, he can feel me on the island. And he is just on a blood hunt to find me and wrestle me to the ground.
And he puts on an old-timey hat and he gets in a car and he drives.
But this is, it's a very similar example. Where's the wrestling coming from?
I mean, sorry, just before we move on with your analogy.
It ain't me.
You left out
but I'll wrestle the motherfucker
bit.
Sorry.
So let's rephrase again. When John's around you, or you're around John, and 12 to 14 pints of Guinness are consumed each, wrestling happens. That's the bit we were missing.
The pints came to life. All right, it's not my fault.
You walked in. That's just what being an alcoholic is. You walk by a bar and you just do,
hey! You hear from inside, Slancha! Sure is hot out there.
Who's that?
Who was that? It's been a long time since you wrestled. Where's your buddy John?
Ooh,
I'm like, where is my buddy John?
Looking strong this week, Roy.
Hey, it's so funny. All right, let's hear from the skeptics. Let's hear it. Come on. Years later, there was a book released called False... I forgot I wrote this in. This isn't going to help my case.
Okay.
There was a book released called False Spirits, Real Swindlers.
All right. How much money did they make?
Where a number of men claimed to have visited the office during the events of the Rosenheim Poltergeist, and they claim to have spotted thin wires attached to objects that, when pulled, made them appear to be moving by themselves.
What did I say? Wired with dental floss.
Now listen, Sigmund Adam was furious at these claims, obviously, and reportedly even filed a legal injunction to stop the publication of the book, but it failed. It's only extra embarrassing because he is a lawyer.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even stop this thing from coming. I will say, though, in defense of Adam and the team, he might not be in the wrong. People have investigated this, and there is no record at any time of these men actually having visited the office. They still could
swindler?
have.
They either
Yeah, genuinely. Is that the irony of the book? Is that they're the swindlers?
Could be.
I don't know. There are also reports when you investigate this case that at one point Anna Marie was caught in fraud by a policeman. I don't know what that means, essentially. Whether, I don't know how many types of fraud you can be caught for. Tax fraud.
Bank fraud.
Some kind of fraud.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think that's just a bit of character assassination. Is like, look, this is already someone who's maybe a little untrustworthy that we're thrown into the mix.
I don't know if that's character assassination. It does feel like just saying what's happened. So Rory's been done for murder. Oh, objection, Your Honor.
That's character assassination.
Assassinating my character. No, it sounds like you assassinated someone.
It sounds like you assassinated a character. I did, yeah. But to this day, the Rosenheim Poltergeist remains one of the best documented and most confusing cases of paranormal activity. I know we were a little early to the evidence, but yeah, a reminder, Kit, this is a real case. Multiple people came and investigated. We have video footage of the chandelier swinging, which I'll have to upload because it is very scary. And it is important to note that we really did never get to the bottom of what was causing all this stuff. The telephone companies could never explain the calls. The lighting company could never explain the power surges. There's a lot that was going on that still to this day is unexplained. Does that make it paranormal? Not necessarily. And I'll put my hands up and say that. That there wasn't a lot of incredibly well documented paranormal activity that defies science. We don't have the filing cabinet moving on camera, you know?
Yeah. Definitely the waters have been muddied towards the end there with the potential, which I hadn't even particularly considered up to that final moment, that it is a hoax. Of course, that should always be front of mind when investigating the paranormal.
There are, and I like this when we do these cases, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. And the one I always like is, could Sigmund Adam be telling the truth and it's still not paranormal?
Yeah.
That like lights could have been exploding and the phone calls could have all been happening, but it's just some sort of unexplainable electrical error.
Absolutely.
You know, so he's like, look, I am being honest. I'm not faking this shit, but it could still be not paranormal.
Sorry, Rory. Sorry. I hope you guys are sitting down. You're saying that something just random could have gone wrong and a random woman got the blame for it all? Sorry.
In the 60s? I don't think so.
That's crazy, bro. Well, hey, at least that kind of thing wouldn't happen in today's modern world. Maybe in the 60s, Rory. But
Anna Marie really caught a stray here. I'd like to hope that she quit and she wasn't fired. I don't think you can fire someone for being cursed.
Yeah.
Because we tried with Phil like 9 times, but our lawyers were like, look, you can't do that.
I don't think we're supposed to talk about that.
Why? What? Why?
Also, Phil is 2 meters away from us, so I don't know if we want to. Does he know that?
No, he's got headphones on and he can't hear anything. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. He knows about that, right? Yeah. Like he came in the other day and I had 2 priests beside me. I was like, just keep an eye on him.
Ignore them, Phil. They're filming a documentary. They got robes on.
So we've reached the end of our investigation into the Rosenheim Poltergeist. Kid, it's time for us to decide what we think happened in today's case.
As you say, Rory, great to have a little bit of video evidence. Was not expecting that. That is nice.
Pretty cool.
Nice to see.
I'm disappointed that there isn't more because a lot of people talk about another video of watching a painting like rotate 120 degrees on the wall, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Not even pictures or anything. So,
but as I say, little bit tough once we start throwing in that possibility that this is hoaxed. Because once you entertain that possibility, suddenly you look at that video a little different.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're like, we didn't exactly see the chandelier start moving from a stationary position and then return to a stationary position. It was just like the video starts and it's just swanging.
It's swinging.
There's no actual evidence that there's only one way that could have happened.
Yeah.
But cool to have nonetheless, and a very fun story. But definitely, I think you said it well. One of the more confusing poltergeist cases.
Yeah, because even, we love to point this out. When people usually make claims about paranormal stories, a red flag is typically when they use their story to make money or sell a book or travel and do tours and do interviews and get press. Sigmund Adam has said multiple times, he's like, it's done nothing for the business. I hate this. This has only ruined our reputation. It's been a massive inconvenience. At no point did they try and turn it into, he didn't call himself the spooky lawyer. And do you have a case that you think is too terrifying to represent yourself? Hire the spooky lawyer.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He was like, this is f***ed. This is
I'm
insane.
going to be, my wife's going to leave me probably because...
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to have to sell the house and stuff. So
So I think usually in a paranormal case, that's a good sign. Money was not made. Money was lost.
yeah. New theory. Was Anna Marie a disgruntled employee? We've all been there, guys. Looking at you, Phil. And hated her bosses.
Right.
And just wanted to with them.
Yeah.
And that's why it was connected to her, was because she was just being a little troll.
You know, and I can believe that as well, because for the last 2 weeks, Phil's been making me a coffee in the morning, which he has never done before. And after I drink that thing, I've never felt worse.
What color is the coffee?
Brown.
Checks out so far.
Okay. And any other questions?
Is it piss? I think that's all I was getting
Are
at.
you implying that Phil doesn't think I'm a good boss and he's been buying me coffees in the morning and mixing it with poison to try and kill me a little bit every day?
I was kind of just going as far as he said he would just go, hey, yeah, I'll nip down to the cafe here and get you a coffee, right? And then he just went to the toilet and pissed into a mug, maybe.
Okay. We ready to come down on a conclusion?
Yeah.
All right. Kit, what do you think?
It's a no.
You're getting a piss coffee now, mother. Yeah, sorry, I gotta go to the bathroom. Do you want a drink, bud?
What about you?
It's a no from me today as well. I think.
Piss coffee's all around, I think.
Look, it's a cool case. I like it. It's a poltergeist case that isn't a poltergeist case. It's got some great evidence along with it. We rarely see video in a case like this. This case was actually a listener submission, but I literally just searched my email inbox and I cannot find the email where someone sent this in. The Rosenheim Poltergeist. Apologies if that was you, because I think it was a recent one as well that caught my eye and put me down this path. So if that was you, send us another email. I want to give you a shout out to say thank you for letting us know about this amazing case. And if you do listen to the podcast and you have any cases you want us to investigate, whether it's just one of your favorite paranormal stories or maybe your own paranormal story, let us know. You can email us at thisparanormallifepodcast@gmail.com. And of course, everyone knows that this show wouldn't exist without the support that we get on Patreon. Patreon, some people might not even know what it is. And I get to enlighten you right now. It's an amazing website where you can go and you can decide to contribute some money every month to the commune. And what that means is you get bonus content, bonus rewards, raffle prizes, extra cool stuff every single month. And all of that money goes directly to supporting the show and ensuring that This Paranormal Life can survive for 1,000 more years.
Whoa.
And I don't mean that metaphorically. We're building a machine. We're building a machine that can freeze human skin.
Okay. How will we podcast if we're frozen?
No, we're just going to freeze ourselves for 1,000 years, and then we'll defrost, and then podcast.
All right. I think that's going to be bad news to the people who, yeah.
Well, that's why they need to sign up for the frozen tier. So you can join us in the freezer.
That makes more sense. Yeah. Because I was thinking, what if you love This Paranormal Life, but then we're like, bye.
Right, and then you're not going to hear us anymore.
1,000. They're like, cool. Do we get, because we contributed to the frozen machine, do we get to use it? And we're like, actually, like the McDonald's ice cream machine, this one's mostly out of order for you.
Everyone joins the frozen tier and they get sent a bag of ice in the mail. And they're like, cool, your machine looks a little different than ours. And we're like, no, it all works the same way. It all works the same way. We're going to go into ours, which is like a $200 million cryogenic facility. And we're like, but you put the little bag of ice on your head and we'll all be frozen together. And we'll see you in 1,000 years.
Did you ever see Problemista, the movie?
Never even heard of it.
It's starring Julio Torres, I suppose, and Tilda Swinton. But yeah, great. I watched that on a plane one time. Amazing movie, really. He's so funny. But yeah, top movie that also depicts freezing yourself into the future in a very funny way. So I guess I'd never thought about it. Maybe I do want to do that. Maybe I'm gonna. You ever see that guy? There's another question. There's that guy Brian Johnson who's hooks up batteries to his penis and shit.
Hey, thanks for listening to this week's episode.
Yeah, that's the type of shit I'm trying to get on, man. All right,
he hooks up batteries to his dick.
I think to give himself micro erections during the night to make his penis that of an 18-year-old, even though he's about 45.
I mean, even at 45, you shouldn't really be having enough penis problems that you need to hook your dick up to a car battery.
I think
there's pills. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think he has penis problems. I think he just wants to turbocharge that son of a bitch.
He's like, is it working? I don't know. You tell me. I've been rock hard for 14 straight days. It's like, okay, so yeah, I guess, but no.
It's like, I think that's the one thing the ads tell you to go to the doctor about, is if it lasts too long.
Whenever I jizz, I shoot a lightning bolt. How's that for working?
Crazy.
Like Zeus.
Oh!
Yeah! Thanks for listening to this week's That's Not How I Want to End the Show. That's not how I want to end the show. Head on over to Patreon. hey, head on over to Patreon. That's the best way to support the show. We really appreciate it. And then we can do cool things like afford to hook our dicks up to car batteries and shit like that, which is pretty much what we do when we're not doing the podcast.
Rip it off.
So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll see you again, or C battery for cock. See you again next week. Bye.